My friends, growing older is like becoming a finely aged tea, rich, full of character, but delicate in its balance. The way we treat ourselves, and even our food, determines whether we remain strong or start to lose our flavor. Yet, in our kitchens, there is a quiet mistake many of us make daily, one that can slowly weaken our health without us even realizing it. And it begins with a simple, innocent habit: putting the wrong foods into the refrigerator. When we pass 60, our bodies change in subtle but important ways. Our digestion slows, our taste buds become more selective, and our muscles require more care to stay strong. In this stage of life, every nutrient matters, and yet, some of the foods we refrigerate lose their nutritional strength, or even form compounds that could burden our bodies. When we think about health after 60, the conversation often circles around eating the right foods: more vegetables, more fiber, less sugar. But what is rarely spoken about is the state of the food we eat. Imagine a seed freshly taken from the plant. In that moment, it is alive, breathing, and full of energy. But the way we store it can either preserve that life or diminish it. Many of us believe that the refrigerator is the guardian of freshness. We see it as the safe place where all food must go. Yet the truth is gentler and more surprising. For some foods, cold is not a friend but a slow thief. As we grow older, our bodies rely on every nutrient we can give them. Muscle strength, bone density, even the clarity of our thoughts are quietly influenced by the vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants we consume. But these are not indestructible treasures. They can fade, weaken, or even disappear when stored improperly. Think of a leaf plucked from a tree. If placed in shade, it stays supple for a while, but if frozen overnight, it becomes brittle, losing its natural structure. In the same way, refrigeration can sometimes disrupt the delicate chemical balance in certain foods, causing them to lose what made them valuable to begin with. I remember a farmer I once met in a small village. He was over 80 years old, but could still carry a heavy basket of apples from his orchard without pausing for breath. When I asked him for his secret, he smiled and said, "I eat my food before the cold can touch it." At first, I thought he spoke of time. But later I understood he meant the cold of storage. He explained that many fruits and vegetables continue to breathe after harvest. If you let them rest in the right temperature, they continue to ripen naturally, holding on to their energy. But if you put them into a refrigerator too soon, you interrupt this life cycle, and the food becomes something less than what it could be. This is especially important after 60. Our digestive system slows, and our body's ability to absorb nutrients decreases. That means we cannot afford to waste even a little of the goodness our food offers. If a tomato loses part of its vitamin C in the cold, it is not just a minor loss. It could mean less support for our immune system during the winter, or slower healing after a small injury. If a banana's enzymes break down in an unnatural way because of refrigeration, its sugars and potassium may not serve our muscles as effectively, which could make our legs feel weaker over time. We must remember, nature designed these foods to survive and nourish without machines. Potatoes were meant to rest in cool, dark pantries, onions to hang in airy spaces, tomatoes to ripen in the sun's gentle warmth. The moment we interfere without understanding, we begin to work against the food's natural design. This is why some elders in rural communities, who eat straight from their gardens and store wisely without refrigeration, often enjoy strong health well into their later years. Now there is another layer to this. One that speaks not just to the loss of nutrients, but the birth of harmful compounds. When certain foods are chilled, the cold changes their internal chemistry. For example, cold temperatures can cause starches in potatoes to turn into sugars too quickly. This not only alters their taste but, when cooked at high heat, can produce substances that are not friendly to our heart and blood vessels. Similarly, refrigeration can cause moisture to build inside leafy greens, creating tiny pockets where bacteria can grow faster. This is a silent danger, because the food may still look fresh, but its internal balance has shifted. There is a short story I often recall when explaining this point. A friend of mine, well into his 70s, loved fresh bread. He would buy it from a bakery every Sunday and keep it in the fridge, believing it would last longer. But he began noticing that after eating it, he often felt bloated and tired. When I asked if he had ever tried keeping it outside the fridge, he was surprised. "But then it will go stale," he said. I explained that refrigeration changes the structure of bread, making it tougher to digest, especially for an older stomach. He decided to try leaving it in a bread box instead, and within weeks he noticed not only that the bread tasted better, but his digestion was calmer. The food had not changed in its appearance, but it had changed in its essence. We often underestimate how much these small, hidden changes in our food can affect us. After 60, we no longer have the same reserves of resilience that we did in our youth. If we lose nutrients, our body feels it. If we consume small amounts of compounds that strain our heart, our body notices. And if our digestion is burdened by food whose natural structure has been altered, our energy levels respond with quiet protest. There is a wisdom in treating food the way we treat our own body. We would not place ourselves in an environment that slowly drains our vitality. Why should we do that to what nourishes us? Just as we choose to walk in the sun for warmth and light, certain foods also thrive outside the cold, soaking in air and time to preserve their natural gifts. The choice is not complicated. It is simply to know your food, to respect its nature, and to trust that nature has been caring for it far longer than our refrigerators have existed. The more we align with this understanding, the more we protect not just the taste and beauty of our meals, but the strength and clarity of our own lives. There is a saying, the wise do not rush to act. They first understand the nature of what they are handling. If we understand which foods need the cold, and which do not, we can let go of habits formed by convenience and replace them with habits formed by wisdom. In this way, every meal becomes not just something to fill the stomach, but something that builds the foundation of our health. Step by step, bite by bite. After 60, eating well is not only about what is on the plate, but also how the body receives it. The same food can be medicine in one form and a burden in another. We tend to think that if something is technically safe to eat, it will automatically benefit us. Yet, health is not built on safety alone. It is built on harmony between the food and the body's needs. This harmony becomes even more delicate with age, when taste, digestion, and appetite are more easily influenced. When a meal is no longer enjoyable, we eat less. When food becomes harder to chew or digest, we avoid it. And when we avoid it, we lose the very nutrients that keep us strong. Refrigeration, while protective for many items, can change the texture, aroma, and taste of others in ways that quietly discourage us from eating them. Imagine a ripe peach, soft and fragrant, its sweetness carrying the memory of summer sunlight. Place it in the refrigerator, and it will emerge with its texture stiffened, its perfume dimmed. It may still be edible, but it no longer calls to you in the same way. This is not just about preference. It is about nourishment. If the joy of eating is lost, so too is the willingness to eat enough of what keeps you well. There was an elderly woman in the countryside who used to prepare her breakfast in the evening, leaving fruit on the kitchen table so it would be ready the next day. Her children worried, suggesting she store it in the fridge. She smiled and said, "Food should greet me with warmth in the morning, not shiver before I touch it." She knew, without reading any manual, that the gentle ripening through the night kept the fruit sweet and easy on her stomach. And so, each morning, she would eat a little more than she needed, simply because it pleased her. In doing so, she unknowingly maintained her weight, her strength, and her digestion far better than many of her peers. Digestion itself is like a conversation between the food and the body. When the food is at a natural temperature, soft in texture, rich in aroma, the body is ready to welcome it. Cold storage can interrupt that conversation. It can harden natural fibers, dull the oils that help flavor carry through, and reduce the body's readiness to break the food down efficiently. For a young person, this is only a mild inconvenience. For someone over 60, it can mean bloating, discomfort, or nutrient loss, and over time, these small moments add up, quietly influencing overall vitality. Taste plays another role here, an even deeper one. After 60, taste buds lose some of their sensitivity. This is part of why older adults often add more salt or sugar to their meals. But what if the solution is not more seasoning, but better preservation of the natural flavors? Many fruits and vegetables kept at room temperature develop deeper sweetness or more robust aromas, making them satisfying without the need for extra salt or sugar. By storing them correctly, we work with nature to keep their flavor intact, allowing us to enjoy them more fully and protect our health at the same time. The other part of this wisdom lies in the way food is stored for longevity, not just safety. There is a difference between keeping food from spoiling and keeping food alive with its natural energy. This is where knowledge of proper storage becomes a subtle but powerful tool for health. Not every pantry is the same. Not every kitchen has the same light, airflow, or temperature. The art lies in observing how each food behaves in your home. A garlic bulb kept in a dark, dry corner may last for weeks, releasing its natural oils into every dish. A basket of tomatoes left on a shaded counter can continue to ripen, offering more lycopene for your heart health than if they had been chilled too early. These choices cost nothing but awareness, yet they return more than most expensive supplements can offer. There is a saying, "To care for the tree, tend to its roots." The roots of our meals are in how we choose, store, and prepare them. Once the wrong habit takes hold, the final dish cannot return to its original strength. Some elders I have met still keep onions hanging in nets from the ceiling beams, or sweet potatoes stored in wooden boxes with straw. They may not know the scientific reasons, but they have seen the proof in their own health. Their food is richer, their meals more satisfying, and their bodies, even in old age, remain capable. The modern world offers convenience, but convenience is not the same as wisdom. Refrigeration is a blessing when used with understanding, but it is a slow harm when applied without thought. Knowing which foods to keep at room temperature is as important as knowing which exercises to avoid after an injury. Both protect your ability to move through life with strength and comfort. And after 60, when every choice has a longer echo, such protection becomes not optional, but essential. There was a man I once met who had retired from a city job and returned to his childhood village. He told me that at first, he kept living as he had in the city. Everything in the fridge, every item wrapped and chilled. But he found himself eating less and less, feeling tired even after a full meal. One day, his neighbor brought him a basket of vegetables and told him, "Don't put these in your fridge. Let them breathe." He followed her advice. Over the weeks, his appetite returned. The colors, smells, and textures of his food revived his desire to eat. He was not eating different foods, but he was eating food in its natural state. That small shift made all the difference. Storing food wisely is not about returning to the past. It is about choosing what serves your health best in the present. The refrigerator is not an enemy, but it is not the only safe place for food. For those of us who wish to keep walking with steady legs, keep minds sharp, and keep the joy in our meals, understanding this balance is a form of self-care. It asks us to slow down, to think before we act, to respect the life within the food before it becomes part of us. In this way, the kitchen becomes more than a place of cooking. It becomes a place of quiet learning, where each choice, where to place a tomato, how to store a loaf of bread, becomes part of a larger practice. This practice is not complicated, but it does require attention. It is the same attention we might give to a garden, not too much water, not too little sun, and never rushing the natural pace of growth. The foods we eat after 60 are not just fuel. They are part of the ongoing conversation between our past and our future. When we choose to store them in ways that preserve their taste, texture, and life energy, we are choosing to store health within ourselves. And over time, these small acts, placing the fruit on the counter instead of the fridge, letting the bread rest in a box instead of the cold, become invisible guardians of our strength. So, the key lesson is not simply, don't refrigerate, but treat your food as you wish to be treated, with respect for its natural form. Store wisely, eat fresh, and let every bite nourish the body that has carried you so far in life. We often say, you are what you eat. But after 60, it's also true you are how you store what you eat. The right knowledge, applied in small, daily choices, can keep our bodies vibrant and our minds clear. So let us honor our food, let us honor our health. And may our kitchens become places where longevity quietly begins, not ends, at the refrigerator door.